Hello, everybody. Welcome to my coverage of the New Japan Cup for 2024. I am Maddie Mack. I appreciate you being here. Let's jump right into it. This is a huge year for New Japan. Okada's gone. Ospreay is gone. Naito might be his last run as champion. President Ace Hiroshi Tanahashi still wrestling, but not to Ace of yore. Still the ultimate babyface. Still a guy. He held a belt a little while ago. We won't talk about how he lost it, but he's still a guy. He's doing a great job. Certainly as a wrestler, doing the best he can. As a president, as a leader, I think he's doing well with regards to relationships with other federations. Within his own Fed, though, it's a little dicey. And that's partly why this year of the New Japan Cup is super interesting. There's a burgeoning crop of these young talents that have these massive shoes to fill from all these guys who have left in the past. Just recently. There's guys Yota Tsuji, Yuya Uemura, who unfortunately they both had a what I would consider quite a letdown of a match, the hair versus hair match. You have Gabe Kidd. You have the rest of the guys from War Dogs who aren't in this tournament. David Finlay is, and so is Gabe Kidd. Other than that, though, it's no one else from there. What I'll talk about today is the first event, which was last night, and I will also get into what I'm kind of looking forward to in the first couple of rounds. Last night's event, tonight's event, there's one on Friday as well, and there's also one on Sunday. They are skipping the 9th. I don't know why, but they are doing that. New Japan Cup is a really interesting tournament. It's only been around since 2005, but every one of the people that have won this are quite meaningful to Japanese wrestling and wrestling on a whole. I'll run through who the previous champions have been. This is not in order or anything. I will start with Hiroshi Tanahashi because he is the first one to have won it. After that, it's not in any specific order, but you're going to hear these names and not really a dud in the whole thing. Certainly with respect to who's gone on to bigger and better things, and even just the story of how these people ended up going after their wins. In the instance of Sonata, he used his to ultimately become the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, and he won that from Okada, of course. So the previous winners are these. As I said, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Blue Justice Yuji Nagata, Giant Bernard, who with his championship attempt, he faced Brock Lesnar and lost. Kota Ibushi, Kazuchika Okada, Katsuyori Shibata, Tights, easy for me to say, Tetsuya Naito, Hiroki Goto, Evil, Sonata, as I mentioned, Will Ospreay, and the man that I want to talk about a little bit, maybe not right away, but I do want to talk about him, Zack Sabre Jr. Those are all the winners. The only guy to win it 3 times is Hiroki Goto. Zack Sabre Jr. has a chance to be a 3-time champion this year, and he'll try to do something that Hiroki Goto never was able to do, even with these New Japan Cup wins, which has ultimately become the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Not something that Goto was able to do with any of these wins. He's never done it ever. Zack hopes to change that. The curse of the 3-time winner is how it's colloquially known. But yeah, we'll get into it for last night's card. It was an anniversary show, 52 years of New Japan. Thank you, New Japan. It's a big tournament, like I mentioned, because there's a lot of unknowns. Most of what last night presented were pretty much knowns. With the anniversary show, comes the heavyweight champion versus the junior heavyweight champion, which quite often is something to look forward to. I remember there was a really good, I feel like it was Ibushi and El Desperado match a couple of years ago, right after Despy kind of really hit that mark where I think he had his mask ripped off, and he was all bloody at one point. He looked very handsome, and he was a really serious guy. I think he held the Never Championship at the same time. So um, that was a really good match. A lot of people look forward to. This one, I will say, I don't think a lot of people were looking forward to, as it was Sho taking on the leader of Lij, Tetsuya Naito. That was the main. We'll get into it. I'm not going to really cover the undercard at all. Sorry, by the undercard, I mean matches that aren't in the tournament. That featured a lot of tag matches that we're going to kind of doing it in a similar way that G1 does, where they have competitors that will be facing each other soon in tag matchups against one another. Nothing really to see here. But I do like that they do it if you sit through the whole card and then watch the next card where there are those two guys fighting. You might kind of get an Easter egg from their previous tag match, which can be fun. This card in the tournament side of things featured 3 matches. There was Yoshihashi versus Kenta for a chance to meet Sanada in the next round. Sanada got a bye. We got the scapegoat, Jack Perry, versus Shota Umino, the roughneck, who I think a lot of people's mileage may vary on Shota. He's definitely a guy who has had a lot of weight put on his shoulders, and a lot of that weight's been put on by him. So I have no problem really, giving him a little bit of grief when he doesn't show up. Not that he didn't tonight. But that match, we'll talk about it after we get into the first match here, which, of course, is Toru Yano versus Yujiro Takahashi. The Tokyo Pimp himself, who brought out Peter. We're still doing that. Hello to Peter. This match was 3 minutes long. I actually didn't get the count on it, but, it starts with nothing and ends with Yano handcuffing Yujiro and a person who works ringside to one another in a hug position with only one set of cuffs. So I'm not sure how they didn't get out. None of my business. Toru Yano picks up the win on a count out. He's moving on to face the winner of Umino and Jack Perry. Which is a match we'll talk about right after we talk about my match of the night, which was Yoshihashi versus Kenta. Pretty stiff match. There was a few things. It didn't look like either of these guys had wrestled in a while. I don't know if that's true or not, but it definitely seemed like that a couple times. There's one drop kick where Yoshihashi tries to drop kick Kenta through Kenta's on the ring apron, and Yoshihashi tries to drop kick him out through it. And he just ends up hitting the ropes with behind his knees, and it just falls back in and kind of takes a back bump. And Kenta has to sell this. Unfortunate camera angle on this one. But they got back in the ring. I ended up liking this match quite a bit. Kenta looks like he's leaned out a little bit. He changed his hair back to blonde. He's looking kind of cool. Just, again, not a guy who really seems like he cares all that much, which is kind of the tale of Kenta since he left Noah. Bring that Kenta back. I think he retired, though. I think that Kenta is retired. Yoshihashi picks up the win here with some sort of crucifix bomb into a pin. I didn't think it was going to get the pin. I thought it was going to get kicked out of, but here we are. Yoshihashi moves on to face Sanada on March 11th. Previously mentioned the Shota Umino and Jack Perry match. This match had some highs for sure. The high for me was Jack Perry coming out in a goat head. He wore a big goat head on his head, which is much better than a belt on a shirt, a head on a head. It wasn't a mask. It was a head, like a mascot head there was a mascot for like Slayer or something, this would have been a pretty good outfit. Head, anyways. The rest of him was just a little ween dog, classic Jack Perry. Just a guy I can't really get into, and a guy who I will continue not to get into, as during this match, House of Torture comes out and they mess around with the match. Of course they do. Jack Perry picks up the win, and they welcome him into House of Torture. Um, they see him as a valuable asset to House of Torture, because just like the rest of them, it is torture to watch Jack Perry, the scapegoat. And I am using him as a scapegoat, especially tonight. I don't know where that creative came from. But I didn't think that Jack Perry was going to be dead in the water right after his arrival to New Japan, but here we are, and I have less interest in him now than I did when he was just away from AEW and we were waiting for him to come back. So that's that. Match of the main tonight was Junior Heavy Show versus Heavy Naito, and Show. He's also in House of Torture, isn't he? Yeah, he is. So guess what happens? House of Torture comes out, but this time the good guy defeats them all. Really nice Gloria plants him on his head. Tetsuya Naito gets up. Destino, just one of them. That's all it takes on a little freak-like show. Even though he had all this help, one Destino. 1, 2, 3. Night's over. That's that. Coming up tonight, we have TJP versus David Finlay. Predicting a David Finlay win there. Tongaloa versus Great-O-Khan. Didn't know Tongaloa was still in the Fed. Good for him. Don't know who's going to win that. Great-O-Khan, we'll say Great-O-Khan. Great-O-Khan's got a cool entrance. You love it. We have Ishii versus Chase Owens. Hopefully Ishii wins that, because the winner of that moves on to face Goto. And Goto got a bye. Hopefully that's Ishii and Goto. I always love a little intra-faction battling. Of course, that being chaos. The night after that, we've got Hikuleo versus Boltin Oleg for a chance to face Evil, who got a bye. We have Shingo versus Yuya Uemura, which is a nice looking match. Predicting Shingo to move on there. Which, again, it goes back to these guys that have had these opportunities and haven't quite seized them. My disappointment in the hair versus hair match, again, comes through here, where I no longer am burning to see Yuya succeed immediately. And I think he will long term, just as Yota Tsuji will. The two of those guys have a chance to face each other in the semifinals. I don't think it happens, but they're on the same side of the bracket. We'll see what happens. Callum Newman and Gabe Kidd is our third match of the 8th. And I think Gabe Kidd's going to win, which sets up a really nice Gabe Kidd versus Shingo match, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. And that would be in the second round. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, folks. I don't know how many of these I'll do. See how the card is. I don't think I'll do one tomorrow. I'll probably do one on Friday afternoon or Saturday, recapping the second and third nights. And then we will go into the fourth night, which includes Tsuji, Cobb, lovely looking match. Phantasmo, Mikey Nichols, that could be really fun. Taichi, Ren Narita. I hope Taichi wins. If Taichi wins, he moves on to face Zack Sabre Jr., former tag team partners, former tag team champions a few times over. Love those guys, and I think that match would be really terrific. So I will do what I can. I'll do my best. It's all I can do. I hope you tune in. I hope you continue to be patient with me. I love you all. I appreciate you tuning in.